Hey legends, it's time for our second episode of Fix It in the Mix. In this episode, we're going to take a look at fixing a poorly recorded piano track. Now the performance is great, but the quality of the recording is quite bad. There's a lot of noise in this piano track. So I'm fairly certain that this was tracked straight out of a keyboard, and whether that keyboard had noisy outputs or maybe the interfaces they were tracking into had noisy inputs, there's a whole lot of reasons why this noise could have snuck in and it wasn't picked up on when they tracked it, and it got sent to me and it became my problem. And occasionally that's what's going to happen. You're going to get sent material that you have no choice but to dive in and try and fix it. Ultimately, you would love to get them just to retrack it, do it properly, but sometimes that's just not an option. So let me show you the problem and then let me show you the fix. So this is the track that we're working on. So a really nice track. Now let me show you the piano track before any processing. Can you hear all of that noise in the top end? Shh. So depending what device you're listening on at the moment, you might not be able to hear this very well, but I'm going to boost it up so you can hear the noise. So that fuzzy, airy noise, generally the kind of thing when you crank a preamp or you turn a volume pot up too loud and then you start to hear all that self noise. So that's the problem with this piano track, and it's quite loud. It's just, it's almost unusable. Let's have a listen to what this would sound like in the mix without removing that noise. So it has to be fixed, because if you leave that in there, this track just sounds terrible. All you can hear is that fuzzy, airy noise. So let me run you through the processing that I use on this to save the day, and then you might find this useful in one of your mixes if a problem like this arises. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is just get rid of this noise. So there's a couple of plugins to do this. I know iZotope have a good denoiser, but one of the ones that I like and I think works really well is the Waves X Noise. So let me show you what I have going on here. So I've just loaded this up with the default settings, and then I'm going to show you what I changed and tweaked to dial this in. You can hear just putting the plugin on, it's already pretty good. So one of the things that I played around here is the high shelf. So as you push the gain up on the high shelf, those high frequencies start to get denoised even more. So that's kind of the area where a lot of this problem is happening. Now, in a busy section like this, it's fine. So you can kind of get away with less denoising. But let's have a listen to a section where there's sort of long drawn out chords and there's nothing else playing but just the piano. So we really need to get this noise dialed in, otherwise you're going to hear it. So at the start of the song, we've got this delicate piano section. So you can still hear that noise in there. It's still a little bit there. So what we're going to do is boost this high shelf up and try and get rid of it. Definitely better, but let's then move the frequency around and see if we can fine tune this. That's pretty good. Now we can play with the reduction. So where the threshold's sitting is perfect, so we don't need to change that. That's pretty good. That's about as good as we're going to get this. And you can hear it does start to affect the fidelity a little bit in that top end, but it is the trade-off. You either have to have noise in your track, or you're going to have a little bit of that fidelity played with to deal with getting rid of the noise. And for me, I'd rather just not hear the noise. We have sort of some modulation reverb on here as well, which is making it sound nice. And once the vocals are sitting over the top, all we're doing is listening to the vocal anyway. And that's how I've gotten rid of the noise out of the track. Now, the next couple of plugins are going to deal with making this sit in the track a lot nicer as well. So our next plugin have a little bit of EQ, so just rolling off some rumble in the low end, 54 Hertz with a 12 dB octave high pass. And then we're just rolling out a little bit of 298 Hertz with quite a wide bell, 1.5 dBs of that. Taking a little bit of that mud out of the track. So we need to clean this up a little bit because we've lost a bit of that top end clarity by having X noise on the track. So that's the compromise. And then our next plugin is the API 550B with just a 2 dB cut at 500 Hertz, just cleaning up that mid-range a little bit more. So then we're following this up with the Abbey Road's TG mastering chain. Even though it's called a mastering chain, I find it works on pretty much anything you want to use it on. It's got a really powerful EQ section, as well as some interesting tone shaping with the tape equalizer, and the compression in it is really cool too. And that's what we're doing here. We're adding a little bit of compression. So we have quite a high ratio, 73, which is nuts. It's almost a limiter. And then we've got the mix set to 80%, and we're on the original setting. And then a kind of a medium recovery, which is like the release, so it's not aggressive. Then we've got a little boost at 3.2K, and then a bit of a big boost at 8 kHz. So I'm trying to give this some clarity and help it to stand out in the mix amongst those drums, especially after we've used that denoising on it. And then we've just got a little boost with this presence knob right at the end here at 4.2K. So we're really adding some presence to the piano with this plugin. And the last plugin in the chain is our LX480 Essentials using the Furch Piano Plate preset. Now I'm just using this to try and create a sense of space and add a little bit of stereo width to the piano because it was provided as a mono recording. Ideally, I would have loved if they tracked the left and the right out of their keyboard, but you get what you're given and you have to work with what you got. And so this is definitely adding some nice space and depth to the piano. So going pretty heavy with it, 50-50, just to try and get that sense of space. Now on the bus, we also have another reverb, and this is being sent to our UAD Lexicon 224. And we're just using this on a lush piano preset. This thing sounds really nice. It's just got a lot of modulation and a long decay on it. Just sounds really ambient and beautiful. So that's how we took our piano track from sounding like this to sounding like this. It's an insane amount of difference, and it sounds so good in the mix now, whereas before it was absolutely problematic. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell so you know when I post these videos. If you guys want to show some support to the channel, make sure you check out the description link below where you can go to my website and check out my drum sample packs. Also, any of the affiliate links below, if you use those to go and buy a plugin, that also helps support the channel as well. If you guys want to check out another Fix It in the Mix video, check out that one up above where I'm going to show you how to fix fizzy guitars.